What's up, YouTube? My name is David and I am the woodworking accountant. Today we're going to be talking about cutting board, butcher block, and butcher block countertop finishes, specifically a beeswax and mineral oil blend. Now I'm going to show you with just a few simple ingredients how you can make this at home. Alright, so ingredients for today's project is food grade mineral oil. Now I want you to pay attention to those two keywords at the beginning, food grade. Do not go to Home Depot and Lowe's and get the mineral oil that they have on their shelf. If you're going to be using this on a butcher block or a cutting board, you're going to want to make sure it's food safe. So first and foremost, get food grade mineral oil. The second is going to be some beeswax. Now my wife and I are beekeepers, and this is actually all the wax from our first hive. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. Now you can buy this commercially. I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can get it on Amazon. Fairly cheap input, and I'm just going to bust this up and melt it down. Next, you're going to need something to measure. I am going to do this in all types of measuring devices and a crock pot that I don't use for food. I picked this crock pot up for $5 at a garage sale. This is what I'm going to melt that beeswax down into. And this is an old Nalgene bottle. We're going to use a 4-to-1 ratio. 4 parts mineral oil to 1 part beeswax. I'm just going to use this to measure volume. You could also use any sort of measuring device that you have in your kitchen. The last thing is popsicle stick. Again, I don't want to use a spatula or any type of other utensil that I would be using with other types of food. Cheap popsicle stick, disposable silverware work just fine. Before we get started, I'd like to talk about a couple reasons why you should be using butcher block conditioner on your wood countertop, butcher block, or cutting board. First and foremost, it keeps the wood from drying and cracking. It's going to repair knife marks, and it's going to keep the oil in and the moisture out. And all of these things are going to preserve your board and extend the useful life of it. Alright, now for the mixture. Using this Nalgene, I'm going to do 800 milliliters of mineral oil, and then I'm going to start adding in beeswax to fill up 200 milliliters, which will get us at this 1,000 milliliter mark. That's going to be your 4-to-1 ratio. Alright, I've transferred the mineral oil and beeswax over to this little crock pot. Now I'm going to come over and stir it occasionally every 15 minutes or so until it's completely melted. Then we'll move on to the bottling process. Alright, it's been about an hour and we can see the beeswax starting to liquefy. Again, I've got this set on low, and I'm going to check back in probably another half hour. Alright, all finished up here. It's been about 2 hours and it's in liquid form. So we're going to let it cool off and harden, and I'll give you an update then. Alright, I covered this and let it harden overnight, and it is all finished now, and it is perfect. This is the exact consistency that you want for applying it to a butcher block or a cutting board. I'll go ahead and give you a quick demonstration. See my other videos for how I like to put this on with a car buffer. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let this sit for about an hour, and then I'm going to wipe off the excess. Alright viewers, now you have seen how to make this, and I have to say it was very easy and it was very fun to make. Now, make no mistake about it, I am an accountant and I like to save money where I can. So the purpose of this was to stop buying this commercially and start making it myself. So if you're interested in this, I'm going to walk you through a financial analysis of how many times a year you would need to apply this in order for it to make sense to make it yourself versus buying it commercially. Alright, here I've got an Excel spreadsheet made out, and it draws out two different scenarios. The first being you go on Amazon and you purchase Clark's cutting board finish commercially. This is going to run you $13.95 and it comes in a 10-ounce bottle. Now, I usually use about 1 ounce per application, so that's going to get you to a per unit cost of $1.40. Now, scenario 2 is you make it yourself. Now, I went out and I grabbed prices to make a large batch of this, just because I personally use it quite a bit. Here I'm going to purchase 2 pounds of natural beeswax and 1 gallon of food grade mineral oil. Now, the gross cost of this, or what that would cost you to start your project, is going to be $45.97. That is going to make you 144 applications at a unit cost of 32 cents. So if you're looking at this purely from a per unit standpoint, the DIY method is going to win. Now on the second tab, I've mapped out all the applications and the per unit cost here. So this is scenario 1 where you're purchasing it commercially. Here's going to be 10 applications, is going to run you $13.95. Now, if you go over here after just 10 applications of the DIY, you're at a net cost of $3.19. And as we go down, it's important to look at how many cans of the commercial paste can you buy that would get you equal to the raw inputs, or what this project cost is initial project cost is gonna cost you. And that's right here. So as we saw in this previous tab, to buy this supplies here, it's gonna run you $45.97. And as we scroll down at the unit cost column, that's gonna be at about 3 cans. And lastly, I have this graph here that shows the make it versus buy it and how many applications. As you can see right out of the gate, on a per unit basis, it is much cheaper to make this than to buy it. Now, if you'd like to try this project at home and your next step is to go out and find all the materials, I've went out and found all of the materials that I used for today's project, and I posted them in the show notes, so go ahead and check those out. Alright, if you like this video, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to the Woodworking Accountant YouTube page. And if you'd like more, follow us on Facebook at DS Timberworks and on Instagram at DS Timberworks.